In this problem, we're going to look at an interesting application of the product and quotient rules in that we know f and g are differentiable, but we don't know what they algebraically look like. What we do know is that f of 3 equals -2, f prime of 3 equals 7, g of 3 equals 4, and g prime of 3 equals -1, and that p of x equals f of x times g of x, and q of x equals f of x over g of x. And what we're going to find is p prime of 3 and q prime of 3. So that's our goal. So this may seem kind of weird at first, like we don't have enough information, but we know that p of x is f of x times g of x, so p prime of x by the chain rule is hold the first constant times the derivative of the second, so g prime of x, plus, now we're holding g of x constant times f prime of x. Therefore, p prime of 3 is f of 3 times g prime of 3 plus g of 3 times f prime of 3. And those are the values that we know something about. So f of 3, we have -2, g prime of 3 is -1, plus g of 3 is 4, and f prime of 3 is 7. So what we have is 2 plus 28, or that p prime of 3 is 30. So while it didn't seem like we have enough information, we actually do for these particular derivatives at a point. We just can't find some algebraic formula for p prime of x or q prime of x. Q prime of x is going to be our quotient rule. That's the denominator, g of x times the derivative of the numerator, so f prime of x, minus the numerator, f of x, times the derivative of the denominator, g prime of x, all over g of x squared. That means q prime of 3 is, we're going to be putting in 3 in for all our x's, g of 3 times f prime of 3 minus f of 3 times g prime of 3 all over g of 3 squared. Now, I know you can't quite see the values, so I'll remind you of what they are. G of 3 was 4. F prime of 3 is 7, so those are the first two. Minus f of 3 and g prime of 3. F of 3 was -2. G prime of 3 is 4. And finally, it's over g of 3 squared, so over 4 squared. So we are going to have 28. That's going to be a -8 minus a -8, or plus 8 over 16. Or we'll have 36 over 16. Oh, and I have an incorrect number in here. Sorry, this should have been g prime of 3. This should have been a -1. Let's get that fixed before we go any further. My apologies. So we're going to have 28 minus a -2 times -1 is a +2, so -2. My apologies. So 26 over 16, or 13 over 8. Yes, that should have been a g prime of 3, and as you can see up here, g prime of 3 is -1.